Are you moving to Canada from the US? You need to keep these things in mind regarding your investment portfolio when you move. Hi, I'm Sonia. I am a CPA on both sides of the border, and I'm co-author of my new book, Your Move to Canada, which is all about moving from the US to Canada, tax and financial matters. Okay, number one, US mutual funds can't be held by a Canadian brokerage. So if you're planning on moving your investments from your US financial institution to your Canadian financial institution, or you're being forced to because your US financial institution is freezing your account, just keep in mind mutual funds can't be moved. So if there are accrued gains and you have to sell them, that may trigger a capital gain for you. Number two, US mutual funds to ETF tax-free conversions. There are actually certain mutual funds, I know Vanguard has a number of them, where you can convert them to an ETF and it is tax-free in the US. So why does this matter? Because if you have an ETF, then you can actually move those in kind to a Canadian financial institution and not have to trigger capital gains. Number three, municipal savings bonds. These may be tax-free in the US, but they're not tax-free in Canada. So just keep in mind, if you're going to have interest income from these, you do have to start paying tax on them once you become a Canadian tax resident. And interest is actually taxed at Canada's highest marginal tax rates. It's one of the most inefficient investment income streams. Next is US qualified dividends, tax advantaged in the US, but at marginal tax rate in Canada. So if you're getting qualified dividends in the US, generally these are dividends from, US companies. And as long as you've held the stock for long enough, you may be taxed at a flat rate, often 15% for most individuals. But in Canada, if you have dividends from non-Canadian corporations, so like US corporations, for example, those are taxed at marginal tax rates and are generally taxed again at higher rates and are also one of the least tax advantageous ways of getting investment income. And capital losses should be realized before you move to Canada. I have a number of TikToks about the step up in cost basis in Canada, but essentially your cost basis in Canada for your investments in your taxable investment portfolio is the fair market value at the time you move to Canada. So if you have assets that are in a loss position right now, let's say you move to Canada and then they recover in value a little bit, you may have to pay tax in Canada on those capital gains, even if you actually have an economic loss. So if you actually take those losses while you're in the US and sell those off, you can have those losses offset other capital gains, or you up to $3,000 of capital losses can be used to offset your other income. And then to the extent you have losses in excess of $3,000 that is not offsetting capital gains, that can be carried forward for offsetting capital gains in the future in the US. If you want to know more about smart cross-border tax and financial and investment planning as it relates to moving from US to Canada, check out my book, Your Move to Canada, on Amazon. Bye.